Hello, hello, hello. Tyler James from ComixLaunch here. And on this live stream, we're going to get into some comics crowdfunding news. Going to look at some headlines, see what is going on in the greater world of comics, Kickstarter, crowdfunding, creativity, and the like. And so if you are a creator, a crowdfunder, this is the show for you. And I want to, just before we dive into the headlines, I want to just put a quick shout out, the ComixLaunch podcast. We have been going weekly for 460 weeks. It's for over 460 episodes of the ComixLaunch podcast now available. We are available, I believe, everywhere that you listen to podcasts. And I just noticed, I didn't even know they did this, but Spotify has the ability to review or to at least give a star rating, and we have all of 8 ratings right now. I believe you have to do it from your phone. So my ask, if you enjoy the content, if you enjoy the ComixLaunch mission, just open up your Spotify app sometime today and give us a rating so that we can get a little bit more visibility on that platform. I believe we're very close to like 100 reviews over on Apple, but it's a different review platform. It's a different thing. So I'm just going to ask, if you haven't yet, go give us a rating over on Spotify to help us reach more creators. And while you're there, you can dive into our massive, amazing archive of ComixLaunch material. All right. So on today's episode, I want to get all caught up on the world of comics crowdfunding. There's been some news, some headlines, some things that I think would make good fodder for talking about and discussing on this show, on this network. Obviously, I always like to hear creator responses to things as well. And so if you have comments, if you have commentary, please share that as well, and we can make this a conversation. But I'm going to take the lead by covering some topics today, and what we're going to talk about include a recent announcement that Diamond Comics Distribution is getting into the crowdfunding fulfillment game. And we'll look at that. I'm going to comment and share some insights that Kickstarter itself published recently about the state of comics book crowdfunding on that platform. We will also look at a recent announcement about some things that Kickstarter is doing to encourage super backers. And we will also wrap things up by taking a look at and welcoming a recent announcement that Kickstarter finally has a new head of the comics category over there. So these are some of the stories and more that we're going to dive into. As I am streaming this, if there are questions, comments, topics, things that you want to hear about, if you have crowdfunding questions, I may stick around a little bit extra because I got some time on my hands to just chat crowdfunding. So please be active in the comments, ask away, and I will happily give you the best that I have right now while we are live. All right. So topic number 1 today is I guess, not so surprising announcement, but it's an announcement nonetheless that I didn't necessarily have on my bingo card. And ComicsIllustrated.com reports that, let's see, facing challenges, Diamond expands into e-commerce and crowdfunding fulfillment. All right. I'll just read a little bit from this article, from the headline of this article. It says, Diamond Comics Distributors, the long-standing powerhouse in the distribution of comics, games, and collectibles, appears to be feeling the strain of recent changes in the industry. With the loss of major clients such as DC Comics and Image Comics, who have shifted their distribution to other partners, Diamond is now seeking to diversify its business by expanding into e-commerce and crowdfunding fulfillment. All right. So if you've been in the world of comics as long as I have, or even if you're relatively new, but one of your aspirations has traditionally been to have your comic show up on the shelves of your local comic book shop or get worldwide distribution, up until basically the pandemic, with only small exceptions over the past 20 or 30 years, Diamond truly was the only real game in town. Diamond is a distributor with multiple warehouses across the United States. And basically the deal has been that their primary focus, their primary business was to get the product that came out every Wednesday at your local comic shop. They were the middleman. They were the one who took the orders for those products and then was responsibility for receiving those orders from their their vendors, who are people like us, publishers, creators, and then distributing that product out to the retail locations, which is a network of, in some cases, big chains, in other cases, like one person or small mom and pop comic shops, right? And they put out the bulk of the comics and the collectibles that show up at comic book shops. And that had sort of been the way that things had done business until, for years and years and years, until the pandemic. And famously, Diamond had to shut down for a short time during the pandemic, and comic book shops, many of those had to shut down for a little bit during the pandemic, or at least try to weather the storm. And I don't want to blame the pandemic for everything here, because publishers have different things that they're working on, but it was sort of around pandemic time that many of the bigger publishers like Marvel, DC, Image started making moves towards other options to distribute their comics. And in some cases, there's still the issue where these bigger publishers will, if Diamond puts in orders, they'll happily send them books and let them distribute that to comic book shops, but they're not necessarily using them as like their exclusive or their main comic book publisher and distributor. And I'll be honest, but let's look a little bit about this and where this announcement came from. The reporter, Mike Wheeler, from this article, essentially said that this came to his attention, that they were doing this because a comic was forwarded to him that it looks like a crowdfunder had been contacted directly by someone at Diamond, announcing sort of that they're making this move. So here is the outreach email. And anyone that has launched crowdfunding projects knows that we get a ton of outreach emails. A lot of times it comes across as spammy. A lot of times it comes across as are these people even legit? But here's the email that was sent out via Diamond. It said, "I am reaching out on behalf of Diamond Comics Distributors. We have recently branched into e-commerce and Kickstarter/crowdfunding fulfillment. Diamond Comic Distributors has a longstanding reputation as a leader in the distribution of comics, toys, games, and other pop culture items over the past 40 years. We have recently expanded our services into crowdfunded and e-commerce fulfillment, partnering with esteemed companies such as Mythic Games, Dara Studios, Golden Goose, Smartivity, etc. Some of the projects we have successfully fulfilled include Botany with 15,105 backers and Evolution, Another World with 3,092 backers. So those are some big gaming projects, and a project of that size, not a small task to fulfill. The Diamond outreach goes on. It says, "While those are board gaming stats, I assure you, we are more than equipped to handle comic book, comic, trade paperback, graphic novel, etc. fulfillment. We also understand the unique requests that come in hand with fulfilling collectible materials that are rather fragile. We are well equipped to handle your fulfillment and shipping needs for your current projects, provide top-notch customer service, streamlined order integration, and cost-effective shipping rates from our centrally located facilities in Memphis, Tennessee." Okay, that was sort of the outreach email. And again, anyone that's done a Kickstarter knows that vendors will pop out of the woodwork reaching out their services to us. And now Diamond is one of those entities that is getting into essentially the crowdfunding fulfillment game. And I'll be honest, like, this makes sense for a company that has taken some lumps over the past couple of years, losing out on some big players. I mean, Image and DC Comics, those are two major players in the world of comics. They, between Image and DC, what is that, 20 to 30% of the market right there. And to lose out on that would be tough. Those are, two of your biggest customers essentially cutting ties with you, or at least reducing their business with you dramatically. And so when that happens with a business, and this reminds me a little bit of like the printing business, where I think of the story that Rich Boy from Comic Impressions told me over the years, is that they had a family-run printing business for many years, and successfully run, been well established, etc. And a few of their bigger clients either went out of work or stopped doing print promotion or something, the changes in marketing needs, etc. And they ended up, they've got all the materials, they've got the print setup, they've got the capacity, they've got the workforce in place, but some of the volume of orders, or the kinds of orders that they were getting, were drying up or changing. And so even though they had never printed a comic book in their life, didn't understand the world of comics, etc., they understood that shifting into that space could be, a new potential option for them. And so I know Rich went and did the whole deep dive, started going to conventions, connected with some local comic book publishers, and really got to know the needs, desires, etc., of the hardworking publishers out there in terms of their comic book needs, and was able to shift. And now I know, a significant portion of the Comic Impressions, of the Direct Impressions, which is the printing company, Comic Impressions, which is their comic book focused branding and solution for comic book creators, that makes up now a significant portion of what the whole business does. And so it makes sense for someone like Diamond, who, well, what do they not have right now? Well, they don't have the business of two of their top main traditional publishers out there, but they still have large warehouse space. They still have packing and shipping capabilities. They still have logistic expertise and the ability to, handle a large volume of SKUs that need to come in and then go out. And they have a lot of experience in that. So it makes sense for them to say, hey, we've got the capacity to warehouse product, to take orders, and to do fulfillment. So seems like a smart move for them, given the changes and the recent dynamics in the comic book industry. I was surprised, or maybe not as surprised, by some of the reaction inside some of the comic book communities that I'm a part of. I didn't get permission from anybody to share specific quotes, but some of the sentiments that I've heard from creators, pretty negative. One creator said, retailers consistently make it known how bad Diamond is at protecting the product and shipping. It's something I've heard for over 20 years in this business, and it has never gotten better. Not sure I'd count on them to handle and ship with care single issues. And so that is, I know, a valid concern from creators, especially as a lot of times what Diamond is doing is they are shipping in bulk. They're shipping a lot of different orders in bulk to retailers, but not doing a ton of, direct to customer, one product or one small bundle to an individual. And I do know that, damages is a part of the game that many retailers have dealt with. Another creator wrote, in my experience, the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing over there. It was a driving force in my publishing company going out of business because we couldn't get paid on time, and them not giving us critical information and assuming we just knew their internal operations. It crippled our publishing only a couple of issues in when we couldn't pay the printer or talent. I received an apology from Diamond for the problem, but that doesn't pay the bills. And so, yeah, I do think a lot of one's experience with a large company like Diamond has to do with who your rep is and who the people is, and if there's turnover, or if you have established a relationship, and so, you know, especially when you're first starting to publish with them, just figuring out little things like, oh, they're like, even if you ship them your books, and even if the books are already released out to comic book shops, and even if it's been a couple of months, if you don't send them an invoice, they will never pay you. and then when you do finally ship them an invoice, expect it no sooner than 30 days from when they receive the invoice. And yeah, if you're a new publisher, or you don't have an on the ball rep, just figuring out some of that stuff can be potentially catastrophic if you don't get it right. Another creator expressed this sentiment, said, crowdfunding is a special and personal endeavor. It's awesome. So look after yourself and only work with companies with proven track records and fulfillment. Diamond will only help themselves and charge you for the pleasure, leaving you stuck to clean up the mess. Oof, really negative. And I, you know, I'll be honest, like, my feelings about Diamond are not overly negative. I sort of, when I was, you know, and I'm someone that, as a publisher, I was excited when Diamond first accepted accepted Comics Tribe books into their fold. And you know, I was flattered when my rep said that the submission package that we submitted to Diamond as a first-time publisher was among the best that they had seen from a first-time publisher. Like that, yeah, that felt really good. And so I liked having our books distributed through Diamond and put out there. You know, over the years, received a lot of money, a lot of revenue that came in through Diamond. Some of the areas where Diamond that I, you know, particularly didn't love was the insanely high costs of advertising through Diamond and the rather poor return on that advertising. Didn't love that. I didn't love how it seemed like Free Comic Book Day got progressively harder to participate in as a publisher, even though it seemed to be a successful event, and an event that grew year after year. So that was one of my issues. One thing that and I also, I guess, never had a problem getting my book into Diamond or getting books accepted by Diamond. And I do know that that's not the case for every indie creator out there. There's some indie creators who have tried year after year after year and been rejected time and time again after submitting to Diamond to try to get their books published and out into the world, only to see that Diamond is saying, you know, sorry, we don't think retailers are going to order enough of this book to make it worth our time or worth your time. But at the same point, I understand that from their marketplace and from their business sense, right? It's a lot of work to manage publishers and to manage a catalog. And if they look at a book and they can say, and in most cases, the people over at Diamond, they have the knowledge that, and they have ex-retailers working there, and they can look at a book and say, yeah, there's not really going to be a market for this or not. And they're usually pretty good at determining that. So at least they would probably have better expertise than we, a first-time creator or publisher, would have about whether our book would sell or not. So I'm not mad at Diamond for any of that. And I've often said that for what Diamond actually does, they actually don't take that much. If you look at it, like, Diamond, on every sale, Diamond makes about as much. Well, Diamond makes about twice as much as Kickstarter does. But they also have far more overhead than Kickstarter does, right? Diamond, the way Diamond traditionally has worked from publishing, is you submit your comic, you give your comic a cover price. Retailers usually buy from Diamond at 50% off the cover price, sometimes a little bit more, sometimes a little bit less, I believe, depending upon the volume of the shop or how new they are to the market, et cetera. They have different deals that they set up. And we, the creator, sell to Diamond at 60% off. And so we get 40%. And so Diamond's 10% difference between what they buy it from us at 40 and what they sell it to the comic shops at 50, that is the difference there. That's the margin. And so that's what they can, that's their 10%. And so I believe part of the reason why their advertising costs are so high, so astronomically high, is that's probably a cash cow for them. Similar to, I guess, movie theaters that they actually don't make much money on the movies themselves, or don't make as high a percentage on the movies themselves, especially for new releases. And so they have to make their money on concession stands and things like that. So, but again, a little bit of that is conjecture. So I haven't been someone that's really hated on Diamond over the years. But compared to many of the creators who I know have had really negative experiences with them. Travis, hey, what's up, Travis? Good to hear from you, man. Always love seeing art from you and seeing it pop up in your feed. Travis asks, do you think that this is only going to benefit larger Kickstarters? I'm trying to wrap my head around the idea that this would be useful for smaller campaigns, like adding an unnecessary middleman. Yeah, so Travis, I would say from the solicit that Diamond put out, they only mentioned 2 campaigns that they've worked on. And one had 15,000 backers and one had 3,000 backers. So those would be sort of top 1% comic book projects. Most comic book projects are not anywhere close to that backer count, or that level of complexity. And so I would say, and again, I'll have to do some deep dive or reach out to somebody over at Diamond to see if they want to comment, to see if they have project size minimums, how they structure their campaigns. Where outsourcing fulfillment is useful to creators is that, and where I would, I guess, push back a little bit on the unnecessary middleman is, well, the middleman is only unnecessary if you can do the thing that the middleman is doing, or want to do the thing that the middleman is doing, or your time is more valuably spent doing something else, and you can afford to pay a middleman less than your time being spent somewhere else is worth. So, you, Travis, a talented artist, if you think of yourself as someone, hey, my hourly rate is worth at least $50 an hour, when I'm doing what only I can do, or what I do best, then why are you spending any time packing and shipping comics, right? Because, if you could, because in most cases for $10 to $20 an hour, you could get somebody to do that for you. And so the time that you're spending doing those lower value tasks potentially is time you're not spending doing potentially higher value tasks. Now, there are some creators who would say, hey, I'm just getting started. I have no, there is no value to my time. And what I have right now is I have what I have is a surplus of time. What I do not have is a surplus of money and cash. And in that case, especially for smaller campaigns, and especially early on in your crowdfunding career, it's good to know, hey, what does it actually take to fulfill a 50 backer project, or a 100 backer project, a 300 backer project? It might be good to know that, to go through that experience, to go through the physical time and spend that time packing and shipping. And here's something that happened this morning. I got a new thing of tape, and I forgot to packing tape, shipping tape, but I forgot to spend the extra 20% to get the whisper silent tape, the quiet tape, and I'm over here doing this, right? And I share an office with my wife, and I packaged all of one package, and she's like, "If you don't stop doing that, I'm gonna kill you," right? And I think she's, it was that same tape that I had when I was doing my first Kickstarter fulfillment project. That was in our little small, our little small tiny apartment, third floor apartment, no less. That I ended up hauling up literally probably 1,000 pounds of hardcovers for that very first Kickstarter fulfillment. And while my wife is, leading, it's, in the lead up to our wedding, and I think I got the last thing out the door like the month of our wedding, and I'm all night, nightmare. And so, what's the value to the peace in your home to potentially pull in a middleman that's can have the noise tape as noisy as they want? Yeah, so these are things to consider. The question is Diamond going to be the right partner for you out there for something like this? I do know that there are other creators out there, like Laguna Studios is a studio shop that is able to also offer fulfillment, and they sort of have hey, we're going to charge you, a flat rate per bot package that we're going to set up, but we're going to handle, and we're going to handle getting all the shipping materials, the picking, the packing. They'll even set up your backer kit for you if you don't want to set that up and you're using that. We'll charge you a little bit to sort of set up or make sure that to clean your spreadsheets so that all the orders go out, but then we'll take care of all the shipping, we'll do the tracking, and get you all that information back. And in some cases, outsourcing fulfillment might be the difference between doing one Kickstarter a year and doing 3 or 4, if you didn't have to worry about everything on the back end. And so that's definitely something. So the question is Diamond going to be the right partner for individual creators like us? I think that is yet to be seen. So yeah, a couple of things. So this is one point, like the other side of the coin in terms of, so one creator wrote this, they said, I think one of the ways that Diamond could instantly establish itself as a major player in crowdfunding fulfillment is if they could promote their services as a distributor. Work with us and we can do what no one else will. We will get your books in stores. They said, and some creator responded to that. They're like, yeah, that's one of those things that's so clear and obvious to us on the outside that they surely won't offer it. So yeah, it's funny how negative unfortunately, at least in the creator community, Diamond doesn't have the best reputation, I guess, over the years. But it is true that Diamond still does have their distribution arm. They are delivering comics every week to comic book shops around the world. And I could definitely see a creator who maybe has previously not been able to get into Diamond. Well, if you're already working with them, you already have a contact on the inside. It's very easy then to see, oh, okay, you've got this connection. All right, now you're one of our publishers and we will solicit anything that you want going forward. Or another thing that it would potentially be nice is, you're sending all of your product to Diamond anyway. For some of that product to then be the product that ships out to comic book shops is definitely something that seems like a no-brainer. I would also say, just as a announcement for all of you creators who maybe are gun shy about submitting your projects to Diamond, or because you feel like you're super indie, or you're wondering if it's too niche, or if you're someone that has in the past submitted to Diamond but maybe got rejected, try submitting again, because Diamond has lost a massive portion. I mean, as much as 30%, 40%, 50%. I don't even know what percentage of volume of comics Diamond has lost over the past couple of years compared to, but compared to their high point, it's probably significant. They've lost that. And so in the past, they could look their noses down at comics that were getting orders less than 1,500 copies. Now they might be more than happy to take on more publishers doing smaller books to make up some of the gap in what their in the volume of the product that they are able to offer shops. So I would definitely reconsider submitting to Diamond if you are a publisher. Now, some people might saying, well, Tyler, why would I submit to Diamond? The big publishers are leaving them in droves. Why don't I just target the Lunar distribution, which is the hot new one that many of the Image, I believe, is switched to Lunar, and a couple of others. Well, the reason for that is Lunar, or the reason why I know many creators actually now have accounts both with Diamond and with Lunar, but I also know that Lunar has since blowing up, they have been very slow to onboard new publishers, and so you may have a surprisingly, even though Diamond is the big name, the established name in the game, you may have an easier time getting your comics in Diamond than you would getting distributed through Lunar, just given the fact that Lunar is pretty busy and still ramping up and not onboarding publishers as quickly as we would have liked. And so, for example, Comics Tribe, we connected with Lunar, we're in their pipeline, we're on their wait list, but that's several months now, and we're still not distributing through Lunar. So knock on wood, I'm not holding my breath to get in there. All right. So that is the first item of business here. So yeah, let me know what you think about Diamond ending the crowdfunding game. And we will talk more about it, I'm sure. I'm also going to reach out to somebody at Diamond to see if they have any additional context, additional information about working with Diamond, so that I can share that with all of you. All right. I have more stories to jump into, but I realized I did a rookie streaming mistake, and I did not fill up my water before hitting the live button. But part of the benefits of live streaming is, you know what? I'm going to go fill up my water, come back, and hopefully I'll still be here. All right. So yeah, gotta love that. I lost one viewer by getting up to get a drink, but this is going to allow me to actually continue the show. So hopefully that was worth it, and hopefully that viewer will come back another time. The next topic that I want to get into, which I thought was very interesting, was a write-up by Liz Moe, who is or was the interim lead of the comics category over on Kickstarter. And she published this a couple months, end of February. So it's, a couple weeks old now, and this was on the Kickstarter blog. But what she did was she took a sort of holistic review of the comics category on Kickstarter to try to analyze some trends. And we are trend watchers on the ComixLaunch podcast. And so I was definitely interested to see some of the trends that Liz highlighted. And so the first thing she did, which is always a good thing, is just set the context of where comics landed in 2023. One thing to note, and I believe this is the first time that this ever happened, there were 2 $1 million plus projects that launched in 2023. And I don't think that that's ever happened before. Kickstarter did have a new top most funded project in the comics project in history, which was the Good Omens graphic novel that the Terry Pratchett estate launched for the very popular, I believe it's a Amazon Prime show, based on the graphic novel that Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman and Colleen Doran put together. And this campaign raised over $3 million with 36,000 backers. So I'm quite sure that this was not only the most backed in terms of backer count, but most highest funded comic project ever in 2023. Also, by the numbers, the number 2 project and the other one that was made that also made over $1 million was The Expanse Continues. And this was a Boom Studios project. And The Expanse, also a popular Amazon Prime, I believe, show that is that and this is an interesting thing where the show ended, I believe, after 5 seasons. It's a very good show. Takes a little bit to get into it. I found that like it was a slog to get through the first 4 episodes, not because it wasn't interesting, but because they kept killing off characters. And it was like, who is even gonna like who am I even following on this show? But once by like episode 5 of season 1 of The Expanse, they sort of locked down, okay, this is what the story is, and this is who it's really about. Once they got there, I was all in. And what a show. If you're a sci-fi fan and you like sort of heady physics and real world physics and a real what if counterfactual post future world style thing, definitely recommend The Expanse. But what was cool about this project, and I think why it did so well, is it's not just a, hey, this is a graphic novelization. This is a, hey, here is what happens. This is basically season 6 of the Expanse, which is a very popular show. And I think, was it Boom or one of the other publishers had success doing that with some other franchises like Buffy in the past. And so that's definitely something that works and did extremely well on Kickstarter. The number 3 project wasn't a comic project. Actually, it was the latest launch from the Etherton brothers, who do the How to Think When You Draw series, which is again wildly popular series, and that one raised 800,000 plus. And then Boom Studios, man, Boom. I think I talked to Ross Ritchie a few years back before they even got into the crowdfunding game, but they've gone on to just do work on Kickstarter and make Kickstarter a huge part of what they did. So The Expanse, Power Rangers 30th anniversary, Jim Henson's Labyrinth, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Those are 4 of the top 10 all Boom Studios projects. Also represented in the top 10 was two projects by Brian Pulido, both Lady Death projects that raised one that raised over 500,000, one that raised 422,000. There was the Megalith project. I think that was that a Bad Idea? What was that? Yeah, from Bad Idea. So this was a big project with just interesting marketing, interesting angles and hooks. Not going to get into it right now, but that did quite well at 393,000. And then Thorn, the complete Proto Bone college strips from 1982 to 1986, raised over $300,000. That's like Jeff Smith of Bone fame. So that was the top 10. Again, top 10, if it's a top 10 project on Kickstarter for the year, and there are between 200 and 300 projects launching at any given time on Kickstarter, these are like, the 1% of 1%, the top 1% of 1% projects. So not necessarily a great indicator of the health of the overall platform, but they are interested to look at. And this was a very strong top 10 for 2023. By the numbers, the comics category had a 11% year-over-year growth in the number of comic projects that launched. So 11% more projects in 23 than 22. And I do believe 22 was also a banner year. So the growth has continued. A 12% growth in the number of successful projects. So not only are more projects launching, but more projects that launch are being funded on Kickstarter. And again, this is something that is pretty much a comic book centric trend. The comics category is an outlier on Kickstarter regarding this. And then a 31% year-over-year growth in dollars pledged to comics projects. So that really is a big outlier. You know, in a perfect world, you would expect, well, if 11% more projects, if 11% more projects launch and 12% more get funded, it doesn't necessarily equate to a 31% increase, but a lot of that has probably had to do with some of these projects at the top, the Good Omens and the Expanse, doing so well. So what did they say? Reflecting on these 23 numbers, this is what Liz wrote. Reflecting on these 2023 numbers, the surge in both the number of projects and the number of dollars pledged underscores a thriving comics ecosystem. We want to continue this momentum. Another testament to this momentum is setting a new record for the most funded comic project on our platform, Good Omens. The fact that we're still seeing creators reach new heights through crowdfunding almost 15 years into our company journey shows the enduring value and new opportunity Kickstarter still offers to creators in the comics category and beyond. And so that is a great message. You have not missed the boat. If you are someone who's still yet to launch that first campaign, the waters over there, despite the negativity that you hear, it is still a very, very attractive and a very, very welcoming platform for creators and new voices and for projects and for success. Another one of their trends that they noticed was elevated craftsmanship. In 2023, we saw a wide range of visually stunning comics projects. Creators are going the extra mile to ensure that their work stands out in a crowded market, featuring hand-painted illustrations, commissioning multiple illustrators to work on a single project, and utilizing the latest technology and techniques to produce works of the highest quality. And they called out one of the Boom projects, the Boom Mighty Morphin Studio projects. They said with Boom, not only rewriting the present and the future of characters, but also designing stunning retro trading cards, new illustrations, enamel pins enhanced by augmented reality, a custom collectible pink metal box that backers could use to store their comics. That extra touch makes comic books feel more special, which has only added to their appeal. And they shouted out a few other projects that they thought did a really good job of sort of elevating the craftsmanship. They also, which is in alignment with Kickstarter's overall mission statement, is calling out inclusive narratives as an ongoing trend. Liz wrote, from queer superheroes to a utopia of African-American warriors, comic book creators are putting the spotlight on communities that haven't always been represented in mainstream storytelling. This is not a brand new trend, but is definitely a growing trend and definitely worth talking about. All right. And so I think this is definitely something that Kickstarter wants to be their brand, right? Inclusive narratives, a platform for all, a platform where diverse creators and diverse voices and underrepresented voices can still find success. And I believe you will find, if you are a creator in that category, while you might not have some of the advantages that some of the projects out there that are clearly going for a well-established market, such as like the not safe for work sexy cover stuff, or the Cthulhu stuff, Lovecraft stuff, or just a supernatural horror. If you are doing something that is for an underserved community, underserved resource, the chances that Kickstarter is going to give you a little bit of extra push, as long as you're doing it at a high level, goes through the roof, because that's well in alignment with their whole mission. Kickstarter also says Kickstarter is a home for creators of all sizes. And they've noticed that more publishers, both mainstream and indie, big and small, are exploring crowdfunding. And this was a trend that I believe I called out on a prediction episode a few years back, or at least a year ago. I can't remember when. Time is a flat circle, as Russell Nolte would tell you, but um, but yeah, I can't remember exactly when got into that, but Kickstarter, but this is definitely something we're seeing. I mean, the success of Boom, I think, has been noticed by just about every publisher out there. And so it's definitely something that's on the minds of the big publishers out there. So they said, when these larger players enter the crowdfunding scene, they don't come alone. They bring their substantial fan bases with them, creating a halo effect that benefits the entire creator community on Kickstarter. Our research shows that when a big project runs on Kickstarter, the amount of money going to their other projects increases too. For example, Good Omens, our new record holder for the highest funded comic book project ever, attracted almost 10,000 first-time backers. So far, some of those backers have pledged almost 800 other projects on Kickstarter. So that's cool, right? And this is the hope. This is the hope that we indies have, is that these big projects aren't just going to come in and cannibalize the market for us, but they actually expand the pool of backers. And that once you back one Kickstarter project, the likelihood that you will back a future project go way up, even if it's not from the creator that brought you in the first place. Liz wrote, on the other end of the spectrum, indie publishers operate on razor-thin margins. For them, the stakes are high. Ambitious projects can either soar or sink a small company. Crowdfunding offers a lifeline, allowing these creators to secure funding upfront, gauge interest, and accurately plan their production runs without risking their financial stability. It's a safety net that enables creativity to flourish, even in a landscape where every dollar counts. In essence, Kickstarter is more than a funding mechanism. It's a community-building tool that fosters collaboration, innovation, and support across the creative spectrum. Whether you're a publishing titan or a small indie team, crowdfunding platforms offer space to dream big, with the community's backing, making those dreams a reality. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of Kickstarter's, what they cite as their value proposition, right? And so, rah, rah, go everyone. This is what's really cool, though. They call this the boomerang effect. We've probably called it other things on this show. But another longstanding trend that continued in 2023 is the remarkable return rate of comic creators. Over half of the comic creators who successfully funded their projects in 2023 circled back to launch another project within just a year of their previous one. So this pattern highlights a significant advantage of crowdfunding: the ability to publish more frequently and maintain a direct, ongoing relationship with your audience. Traditional publishing routes, with their longer timelines and various gatekeepers, can't match this level of interaction or speed to market. Kickstarter not only bridges this gap, but also strengthens the creator-audience bond with every new project. So again, this is something that is a big part of the special sauce about why comics are an outlier. It's that we have far and away the most repeat project launchers versus any other creator or category of creator. And so that's a big part of it, and this is also why I've been, preaching since the very beginning of this show, that it's not necessarily about what your first launch does. And in fact, sometimes getting just that first successful, super small launch under your belt, it may be just what you need to keep getting a successful stack of win after win after win going. And because it's not just about the next launch. If you do this right, this will be a platform that will be welcoming to you, and it's a platform that you can grow on over time. Liz wrote, moreover, we're committed to enhancing this connection. We provide creators with insights into where their backers are coming from and create pathways for continued engagement after a campaign ends. This direct line of communications allows for creators to effectively market their projects and ensure loyal following is always ready and waiting for the next launch. All right, so no announcements about any specific things that they're adding or doing to enhance that. That's sort of an ongoing, longer trend, but it's one that I'm glad to see is continued to thrive. All right. So that was point number two, news number two. Let's look at the next topic that I want to dive into. Again, for the live audience here, if you have questions, comments, Kickstarter things, something you want me to look at, I'm going to stick around if there's anything, and I will be happy to give you my 2 cents after I'm done with my news rundown. What we got there? All right. My next topic in the news roundup, and this is a small one, not a huge thing, but something that will be fun to watch is Kickstarter recently posted a blog at the beginning of this month highlighting some perks and benefits to becoming a super backer over on Kickstarter. And they're basically touting some exclusive benefits of being a super backer. Now, I was a little underwhelmed by exactly what they offered here because it wasn't super clear. But I do like the idea that Kickstarter is encouraging and incentivizing backers on their platform. Kickstarter, it's important to know that like every project, the backers for every project, those backers are an individual supporter of the project that they back, but every backer is a customer of Kickstarter's, right? Kickstarter makes a flat 5% across the board when someone backs a project, doesn't matter what the project is. And so every backer is Kickstarter's customer. And so it's worth it for them to find ways to encourage their customers to do more business on their platform, to back an extra project every month, to come back, et cetera. So, and I think they do a pretty darn good job about bringing backers back. But so the super backer platform here, they write, our super backers community consists of dedicated supporters, creator advocates, and early adopters. This community comprises the top 3% of supporters on the platform who've displayed extraordinary commitment towards promoting creativity and innovation. Being a super backer means more than just receiving a badge. It means you're at the heart of our community, an influential figure shaping the future of numerous projects and innovations on Kickstarter. And so they highlighted 5 advantages of being a super backer. And so I just want to run down these pretty quickly. They said, first, advantage number 1, you get a super backer badge, which they call the most visible perk. As someone in the top 3% of our community supporters, you've unlocked something truly special, a super backer status. With that status, a distinctive super backer badge will appear on your profile and comments, making it clear to creators and fellow backers alike that you are a pivotal part of the Kickstarter ecosystem. All right. So you get a badge. What does this badge look like? Well, Travis Gibb, my buddy from so many great projects. I just got his latest Voodoo Nations book on my nightstand. Orange Cone Productions. He's a super backer. He backs a ton of Kickstarter projects, over 1,100 to date. And so you see, he's got a super backer. Super. Those backers support a lot of projects. So that is that badge, you know, and that badge, every time he leaves a comment on a project, every time he backs a project, the creators see that he has that badge, right? What else do super backers get? An exclusive an inside scoop with exclusive updates. As a super backer, you'll be the first to know about Kickstarter's latest news and developments. Be sure you never miss up. Subscribe to our backer email list. Now, I'm not exactly sure that if you're on the email list, super backers get their own email. I haven't seen that. I do believe I am a super backer, at least on one of my accounts. So I'm not sure if that's actually that's actually much of anything, but I may have to subscribe to find out. I think I'm already subscribed though. This is new. They said new. Number 3, beta tester opportunities. Your voice matters, and as a super backer, it carries weight. Starting today, you'll get opportunities to test new features before they go live and provide feedback based on your firsthand experiences. This isn't just about having early access before we roll out new features to 100% of users. It's about actively shaping the Kickstarter platform. Your insights, opinions, and points of view can help us refine new tools and features, ensuring they truly meet the community's needs. This is your chance to influence the future of crowdfunding. All right. So that's kind of cool. And Kickstarter has been rolling out a lot of updates lately, and it makes sense that when they roll up updates or they invite creators to participate in their beta testing opportunities, well, they also are going to need backers to test it. So I can only imagine that super backers might be among the first people that they ask to test out something new that they're trying out in beta, like late pledges, for example. So I could see that yeah, we're going to message all our super backers. We're going to point out, hey, here's these a dozen projects. Please check them out. We'd love for you to back one or a couple of them and then give us some feedback. I could definitely see that being a cool thing and a perk that backers would like. Number 4, new, connect at exclusive events. Imagine a space where creativity and conversation flow freely among like-minded individuals who are just as passionate about bringing ideas to life as you are. As a super backer, you will receive exclusive invitations to invite-only events and programming by the Kickstarter team. These gatherings offer unique opportunities to learn from and connect with creators, fellow backers, industry pros, and the Kickstarter team. So that's cool. Kickstarter, I think, has a pretty cool office in New York, they've been known to do events and host events in New York or other places. I think it's pretty. Or I know that they attend some conventions. So having a happy hour, or having a panel for their backers where super backers are invited or first on the guest list, that's a cool perk. Number 5, new, featured spotlight. Your involvement as a super backer tells a story worth sharing. From time to time, we'll reach out to you as a feature and feature you in Kickstarter emails, blog posts, social media, and more. This spotlight is an opportunity to share your journey, inspire others, and give greater visibility to the project you're passionate about. So essentially, that would be something that you might be seeing Kickstarter not just highlight their creators on the platform, but also highlight backers who are backing a lot and telling their stories. That's cool. Why become a super backer? They say it's about the super backer program is more than just perks. It's about acknowledging and leveraging the significant impact you have on the Kickstarter community. Each project you support is a step towards turning someone's dream into reality. And as a super backer, your role in the process is amplified. Now, how exactly do you become a super backer? What's this top 3%? And so I'm not sure exactly what the number of projects. I'm not even sure if Kickstarter knows exactly what the number of projects that trigger that. I'd have to double check, and I think it is over a certain period of time. I don't know that you keep your super backer badge indefinitely. These are some things I'd have to look up and find out. But it is cool that they are doing that. So my comics launcher for this episode is going to be what perk would you like to see super backers get that they aren't currently getting? And one thing that I could see that could be pretty relatively easy is just like the only thing that Kickstarter shows is, for super backers, is their backer count. But I'm wondering if like there couldn't be like a point system to gamify this a little bit, where you as a backer or as a super backer, you could earn points, and then maybe there's a Kickstarter store down the line where it stocks some best of the best products from their creators, or they're from their featured creators, or it starts stocking some like projects we love stuff, or Kickstarter t-shirts, Kickstarter merch, water bottles, etc. And you as the backer could then redeem those in the Kickstarter store for you could redeem your super backer points for that. That would be kind of cool. A little promotional thing. Thinking about the things like Pepsi or other brands have done over the years. You could definitely see Kickstarter doing something like that. That would be my idea. All right. The last story that I just wanted to point out to you all, and this is good news, is that Kickstarter has announced and welcomed a new comics leader to its community. Sam Cusick, a Kickstarter creator himself, joins us with over 17 years of experience in the comics industry. So if you are someone who is new to the Kickstarter platform, know that Kickstarter, for each of its categories, has a community lead whose role is there to sort of be the champion of that category, to review products in that category, to answer questions from creators in that category, to go out and drum up and try to recruit big projects to launch in that category. Those are some of the details and the roles in that task. Their job is also to sort of educate in that category and create content and to create things just highlighting what is going on in the comics crowdfunding space. I saw one article call this the most desired job in comics. And I'll be honest, it is a pretty darn good job. Really nice, decent salary. And you get to shape the comics platform. For the past couple of months, I believe Oriana Leckert, who is the head of publishing, has been, and comics is sort of under publishing in some, and has been during some times in terms of community leadership. So Oriana sort of been doing double duty. And earlier this year, or earlier last year, they hired someone, I believe Bryce Gold, who was there for a very short time, and before moving on to another opportunity. And prior to that, there were other people in this position. So this has been a position that, oddly enough, has been kind of hard for them to fill or keep filling. It was a position I think that they didn't, with the COVID shutdown and the contraction of crowdfunding for a few months in most categories except comics. They actually pulled back and didn't fill this position, and Kickstarter let a bunch of people go. So it's good to have someone in this role, I believe. And in reviewing, I was not familiar with Sam, but just if you're curious, if you're curious what you need to do in your resume to get this job, here's what Sam's resume was. They write, with a diverse background that includes roles at Boom Studios, 14 Kickstarter campaigns and counting, and several of the most funded campaigns of all time, and experience in direct market sales and manga reviews, Sam has deep understanding of the comics landscape. Most recently, he served as special project manager at Boom Studios, where he played a pivotal role in developing and managing Kickstarter campaigns, including The Expanse, Dragon Tooth, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and Farscape 25th Anniversary comic book celebrations. Prior to that, Sam was a manga reviewer at Pop Culture Shock's Manga Recon, an assistant editor on the thrilling Adventure Hour graphic novel from Archaea, the events coordinator for the Eisner Award-winning retailer Kamikaze, and an operations manager for James Tinian's Tiny Onion Studios. In addition to his experience in comics, Sam has also worked as a project manager in the technology and website industry for over 10 years. So Sam definitely has a ton of Kickstarter experience, crowdfunding knowledge and chops, as well as other aspects of the comic book industry. Worked for publishers, worked directly with big name creators, worked for comic book shops, worked in the review and web and internet space. So this seems like a nice intersection. I no notes to Kickstarter. It seems like someone who would be very, very adept to hit the ground running and do well with this job. So this was announced last month, so I'm sure Sam is still getting its feet wet, but I will just put this out now. Sam, I'm looking forward to talking to you. Hope to get you on the Comics Launch podcast so that you can get us a sort of state of the union on Kickstarter, crowdfunding, comics, what your hopes, what your dreams for the platform are, and a whole lot more. So hopefully we can get him on the podcast in the not too distant future. All right. So that is my news roundup. I hope you enjoyed getting caught up on the world of comics crowdfunding with me, Tyler James, here at Comics Launch. And I don't see any questions, so I'm going to call it here. Thank you so much for watching, and I can't wait to see what you all launch next. Take care.